Do you ever feel like your life will never be as good as the influencers you see online? Because you're not alone. I literally have a bunch of saved TikToks on my phone of specifically Christian influencers whose lives look literally perfect. And every time I see a video, I'm like, why can't I have all of the sweat sets that Maddie Dodd gets to post in? Why can't I have the cute little Pilates classes that Emmy Brookins gets to go to and like her perfect morning routines? Scrolling again, like, oh my gosh, now if you weren't married, like, this could be so sad to see, like, oh, decorating our first Christmas in our home. Thank you, Jesus, which is a beautiful thing, but sometimes can make us feel jealous. Or even like Ali Yost's girlfriends, like how much fun they have getting ready together. Like literally all of these TikToks that if you're not careful can easily make you feel envious and jealous and ask yourself like, or ask God, why can't my life look like that? If that's you, and you have these thoughts of like, why do they get this big, beautiful house? Why do they get the perfect kitchen? Why can't I afford to go to Pilates 3 or 4 times a week? Why do they get the new Aloe workout set or get to work from home or have the baby or the farm or the horses or the whatever the thing is? Why do they get it and I don't? And you're not alone. That's completely normal. Unfortunately, it's very, very typical. And yet we forget that it's a big deal. And it's so normalized to be envious of people online that we forget that do not covet and like do not be envious and jealous for what other people have is literally one of the 10 commandments. And that in that whole big verse of like, love is patient, love is kind, it goes into love does not envy and does not boast. And yet we do all of those things regularly when we're on TikTok and convince ourselves that it's like not that big of a deal. So why I wanted to make this video is I wanted to tell you, one, you're not alone. I literally do the exact same thing, but I wanted to share with you my secret or like what I have done that has worked to take those thoughts captive and to be content with your life and how to reconcile but why don't I get that? So that's what I want to do in this video. So first, I think the thing you need to understand is what comparison actually is. And there's that old saying that like comparison is the thief of joy. And I actually Googled that because I was like, where does that even come from? And it's attributed to Teddy Roosevelt, but no one like actually knows, I guess. But generally, like it is a biblical thing. There's a lot of sayings we have that end up like you go to look at the Bible and you're like, wait, that's actually crazy. It's almost like God made us and knew that. Like you guys remember that big study came out that was like, we've actually found that you can't be thankful and anxious at the same time because it's the same part of your brain. And then in the Bible that's been around for, thousands of years, Jesus says like, don't be anxious in anything, but instead be thankful. And you're like, oh, it's almost like God knows us. That's kind of crazy. But like comparison is the thief of joy. Like biblically, to have a heart of joy is to be content and thankful for what you have. Like a thankful heart is a joyful heart. And it says in Psalm 97:12, rejoice in the Lord, O you righteous, and give thanks to his holy name. And yet, our For You page, even when it's so crazy because so many of these influencers, like even SJ, who like is posting a beautiful thing and like she's so happy to be married and it's something she's wanted and like God has given her an amazing husband and they're decorating their first apartment together and it's cute and she says, thank you, Jesus. And like that's a good thing. And yet our dirty, sinful, rotten brains and our flesh love to be like, well, why can't I have that? She gets to be thankful, but why can't I be thankful for the thing she has? I want to be thankful for what she has. I don't want to be thankful for what I have. And yet like, we just get our grubby little fingers into everything and we love to, and it's not just our flesh, it's Satan too, but like our sinful flesh is warring against us all the time. Satan is warring against us all the time. And we love to take something that is wholesome and beautiful and say, but I want it and make it like everything's about us all the time. And like, same, because I'm not sitting here being like, you guys are awful. Like, no, I literally do this every single day where I'm like, but I want that. And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't get that. And so I think that oftentimes, instead of just wallowing for me and like, okay, I'm comparing myself to what they have or who they are or their lives or whatever, instead of being like, but I want it, I've started to use that as kind of like a check engine light and see like, oh, maybe my heart needs an oil change because I'm like swirling in my brain this nonsense of I need that thing instead of looking at it as like, okay, if I so desperately feel like I need this thing to be happy or content, what insecurity or unbelief is in my heart that like needs to be checked? Like, why is it that this specific thing, like it's probably not actually about the house or the Pilates class or the kitchen. Like it's probably a deeper rooted thing because I'm feeling this so strongly that it's like really upsetting me. And like, I know I'm not alone in that. So maybe I should think about, like, why do I feel like I need this stuff? And yeah, some things are fun. I do want a horse one day because that would be fun. Now, is that wrong to want? No. Is it wrong to want to be able to take Pilates classes? No. But when it becomes that like deep-seated jealousy and envy, there's a difference between like, oh, it would be nice to have that, or like that's something I want to work towards, versus like, I need it, and if I don't have it, I'm not going to be happy. And a lot of times, I don't think we even think that's what we're doing. Like, if you asked me, like, do you really feel like you need that? I'd be like, no, because I have a rational brain. But my feelings, on the other hand, like to get out of control. And it's like, if it's actually impacting my mood that much, I'm a liar. Like, I can't sit here and be like, no, it's not that big of a deal, when it's ruined my mood for the next 2 hours. Like, no, I'm a liar then, because somewhere in me, I really believed that I needed that thing, and that my life wasn't good if I didn't have that perfect morning routine or that perfect whatever, right? So yes, some things are fun and it's okay to want things, but ultimately, there's probably like an insecurity or disbelief in my heart that's making me feel those things, and it should be an indicator that I'm not trusting God in something. So like, I wrote down some like things that I ask myself of like, okay, if this is popping up, that I'm envious that they have the money to spend on Pilates classes, they have the money to buy these cute sweat sets, that they have the money to decorate their house in the Ralph Lauren style that I want. And then I like run down my list of questions, and I'm like, okay, what's rotten inside of me, right? One, am I trusting in this moment that God will always be there regardless of my finances? Am I trusting in God's provision and the fact that he will never leave me or forsake me, even if I never get to afford all the Pilates classes or the fancy house? Because ultimately, that's what's most important, is that you have a relationship with God, not the things. So like, if I'm feeling like I need those things to be happy, then I'm not trusting that God can make me happy on and fulfilled just by having a relationship with him. And it says in Hebrews 13:5, keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we can confidently say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me? And it's interesting because for me, I would read that verse and be like, well, yeah, I understand intellectually that like, even if I was afraid of not being able to pay my bills or afraid of being homeless, God will never leave me. But when it says, keep your life from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God will never leave you, it's harder for me to connect those dots, to understand, like, if I am insecure and I feel like I need stuff, whatever that stuff is, to be content or happy, it's rooted in a disbelief that God can make me content, that I can truly be content with what God has given me. That's where that's coming from. And I think that's hard for me to connect, because I'm like, oh, it's just a Pilates class, or oh, it's just a kitchen or whatever that I want, or like, decor. But truthfully, it is coming from a disbelief that God cannot make me content in what he has already given me. And that security comes from the fact that you can believe, because God has told us, and that he doesn't lie, that he will never leave us or forsake us, and that the Lord is my helper, I will not fear. What can man do to me? And it's like, okay, I don't have to fear that I will be uncontent the rest of my life if I never get these Pilates classes or this house or whatever. I can be secure in the fact that God will never leave me or forsake me. I'm hoping that makes sense and how that connects. And I feel like I, in the past, have not ever thought about it that way. But like, truly, that greed and envy comes from disbelief in God's ability to help us to be everything that we need, right? So, second question I asked myself, do I trust that God is taking care of me the same way he is taking care of that influencer who has more than me? A lot of the time, the answer is no. Maybe I don't actually trust that or believe it. Because it's one thing to know in your head. I've read the Bible for my entire life. I've read so many biblical books. I've prayed. I've read studies. Intellectually, I can tell you so many things that I know is true that the Bible says. That's completely different from believing it and living in it every single day. And like, no one will ever be perfect. The only perfect person was Jesus. And like, there will always be doubts, and there will always be things that I have to check. And it's like, okay, yes, intellectually, I understand that God takes care of me the same way he's going to take care of this influencer. But when I see that they have more, it is easy for doubt and unbelief to creep in and be like, am I sure he doesn't actually like them more than me or love them more than me? Because he gave them more stuff than me. So like he must have some favoritism if he's giving them more stuff, right? And here's where the Bible comes in. And I don't know if I can pull my sleeve up this far. I can't. My sweatshirt's, well, I'm almost there. Hold on. Okay, I don't know if you can see on my arm. It's so far away. I have two little sparrows. I have two little birds tattooed there for this literal verse. And yet, it's a good thing I have it tattooed since I have to remind myself so much. Anyway, Matthew 10:29-33. Are not two sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father? But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows. So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I will also acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. And whoever denies me before men, I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven. And it's not... Fear not, you are more value than many sparrows, but I like some sparrows more than others. Or like, yes, all of my people, everyone who acknowledges me before men, I will acknowledge before my Father, but I'll acknowledge some more than others. Like, God doesn't play favorites. And like, again, one thing to know that and have a freaking tattoo of it, and another to actually walk that out and believe it. And so when I ask myself, like, okay, am I actually trusting that the God of the universe who created me, who is literally infallible, like nothing he says is untrue. He has said in his book that he loves us all the same, that he does not love others more than others, that just because they have more stuff than me does not mean that they are more loved by God. And I have to trust that God is sovereign. Like, I always have to be like, literally every day I repent to God and I'm like, okay, God, I'm sorry. I'm not believing what you told me. I'm really not walking this out. Like, I know that you, just because they have more stuff does not mean that you love them more. And I trust that you know what is good for me, and that I am sorry that I'm not thankful for the blessings you've already given me, and that I'm not content in that. So that's my second question I ask myself and get humbled quickly. Third question I ask myself is, do I trust that God has good things for me too? Sometimes, not all the time. What's crazy, and I'm literally dumb, is that most of the time when I'm the most envious and that have the most unbelief about God not giving me good things is when he's like just given me something good. Like when he's just blessed me in like a pretty significant way, at least to me, that like, oh, I really feel blessed by God. Immediately that's when envy kicks in. Immediately that's when I'm like, oh, it's just not enough. And like, what a slap in the face to God to be like, yeah, you gave me this good thing, but sorry, not good enough. Let me watch TikTok for an hour about everybody who has more stuff than me and then be mad about my own life. How dumb am I? Like, ew. And so here's some verses that I have tried to memorize and like meditate on throughout the years when I feel like, well, God must not have good things for me because he's giving all the good things to those people. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Future and hope seems like pretty good things, and yet I'm mad that I don't have the freaking comforter that someone else can afford. I'm like, what? Romans 8:28, this is my favorite verse. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Literally, he will work every good and bad thing together for good in the end. James 1:17, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Like literally every good thing in my life is because God gave it to me. And I can't be thankful for that. And instead I'm spiraling. Like that's so ungrateful of me. So those are like the first three questions that I like ask myself and like check mark of like, okay, I need to reorient my heart, right? And then two, so like, you know, we get through comparison and I ask myself my questions. And then the second thing that I look at is like, okay, what do I have the power to change? What if this stuff actually matters long term to me? And then is it in my power to change? And some of it is realizing like most of these videos is just people like romanticizing their life or making their life that pre-exists a little more aesthetic, and like you can do that too. You would be amazed at what good lighting can do. Like the lights I have here and here that are off camera were $30 on Amazon. They've lasted me 2 years now. They're a little janky, but they do the trick. So like if you pop up $30 light in your kitchen. You'd be amazed at how much better it looks on camera. And like so much of it is perception. Like you look at your kitchen every single day and you're like, yeah, I don't like it anymore. But then you prop up some cool lighting and like put a little couple of candles and trinkets and boom, new kitchen. I literally got a $20 lamp on Amazon that like you touch and it has this like cute golden light in my kitchen. Game changer. It was $20. And like completely fine that not everyone can afford that. But for me, I was like, yeah, $20 to make me like my kitchen. That's cool. And like, you would be amazed at what it can do if you like, sometimes as an exercise, when I'm like mad that my life doesn't look as aesthetic as theirs, I have to remember like, okay, but theirs is literally curated. And what if I made a morning routine video to show myself that it's literally all fake? Like it's literally all fake. So I will make a morning routine video, edit it the same way and be like, oh, okay, so I actually can have the same life and I actually already do. I'm just not like thankful for it. And then the other thing is like, there are things you can do that may not be quite as glamorous, but like still do the same thing. Like, is the reason that I want to be able to afford Pilates classes actually because I want to go take the class, or can I just put on a workout set and do it at home? Like, romanticize your life a little bit and like light a candle, set some cute music, pull out a Pilates mat or a towel, do Pilates at home if you're after the exercise part. Like there's free Pilates on YouTube, free. So there's things you can do. And a lot of times what I find is like the really aesthetic morning routines with the Pilates and the matcha and the whatever, I'm not necessarily drawn to the aesthetic of it. Sometimes I realize I'm just drawn to the discipline of it, of like, wow, they are consistent with getting up at this time every morning. They do the workout, they drink the caffeine, they have the cute yogurt bowl. And like, you can do all those things most of the time. Again, not everybody, and that's okay. But like, if you can do those things and you're just wanting to be more disciplined and be more healthy, then like be more disciplined and more healthy in whatever ways that you can do in your time that you're given and with the money that you have. Like, steward your finances and your time well and do what you have and like work towards the life that you want, not in like a manifest way, but in like a disciplined way, in a wise way. Be like, what do I have the power to change that will make me more disciplined, more healthy, more whatever, and make me feel better about myself? Like, take care of your temple. And it says in Proverbs 10:4, a slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. Like, being a good steward of what you're able to do is a good thing and glorifies God. So if you want that house or those Pilates classes or that whatever, like, you can save for those things. If you want a nice house, save. If you have the ability to, like, do everything within your power to be wise with your finances. And that may mean not having stuff for a while and like sacrificing in the present so that you can have stuff in the future. And the other thing you have to remember is like, we are seeing these influencers after they have all that money. We're not seeing, most of the time, we don't see like the house they grew up in. We don't see the kitchen that they had in their first apartment before they were making any money, the clothes that they used to wear before they were making any money. Like, we're seeing them post money. And like, they had to start somewhere too. Like, they didn't always have that. Making videos is a full-time career. It's not as easy as it looks. You would be shocked at how much strategy and creativity has to go into it. And there's a reason why they're famous. And it's okay to like want things and to want to work towards things and to work hard for those things, as long as it doesn't become an idol. Like, if you're more focused on, I have to have this life, then I have to have a good relationship with God, then that's obviously a problem. But as long as you're like, you have a strong relationship with God, you have Him as your priority, and then there's some things you want to work towards, do it and work hard. That brings me to the finale of how to not be an envious person constantly, is to be content. And like, yeah, easier said than done, I know. But when you can go through, why do I want these things? At what point will I be content? You will quickly find there is no point of wanting stuff when you will be content. And Paul says in Philippians 4:11-13, not that I'm speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through Him who strengthens me. Now, this last part is like the most taken out of context verse in the whole Bible. But he is saying, I have learned how to be content in every situation because of God who strengthens me. I know how to be content because of God, in good and in bad, in much and in less. And Like, ask yourself, do I actually have a heart of contentment and a heart of thankfulness? And when you are truly content and thankful and are like, again, Paul says he's learned it. Like, you have to learn. It's a daily battle. But when you are working on it, everything else is so much better, because then everything else is such a blessing. And like, you can actually be thankful. This is what's crazy. Okay. Hang on tight. This is crazy. When you see those videos, imagine if instead of feeling envious, you checked that and immediately prayed, wow, God, thank you for blessing those people. Crazy, right? If you actually prayed and thanked God for blessing other people and you were still content and happy, crazy. But you can get there. Genuinely, you can get there. No, it won't be overnight. And yes, you have to learn and work at it. But like, it's real. You can do that with God, because you can do all things through him who strengthens you. You can be content in all things. You can be thankful for your blessings and for other people's blessings, even when you want them. Crazy. And then when you are able to trust how much God will provide for you, this is the other verse that people usually talk about when they're talking about like, he dresses the lilies and counts all the sparrows. Like, I read the sparrows verse. This is the lilies one in Luke 12:22-34. So this is going to be Jesus speaking. And he said to his disciples, therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat, nor about your body, what you will put on. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap, and they have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. Of how much more value are you than the birds? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? If then you are not able to do as small a thing as that, why are you anxious about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass, which is alive in the field today, and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? And do not seek what you are about to eat and what you are about to drink, nor be worried. For all the nations of the world seek after these things, and your Father knows that you need them. Instead, seek his kingdom, and these things will be added to you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the needy. Provide yourself with money bags that do not grow old, with a treasure in the heavens that does not fail, where no thief approaches and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And to just break this down a little bit, you could be the poorest person on the earth, or you could be the richest person like Solomon. And neither of those things should dictate your contentment and your thankfulness and where your heart is. And he's saying, like, this doesn't mean you need to sell all of your possessions and like live homeless. That's not what this is saying. But it's saying that if you were to sell all your possessions, if you were to give everything away, your treasure should be stored up in the kingdom. In like, how are you honoring God? How are you glorifying God? Are you sharing the gospel? And are you content with what you've been given? And when your heart is set on things of God, that can't be taken away from you, because God's promises are everlasting. Like, you will be in eternity with God forever. And those things do not fail. They do not leave. Your Pilates classes will eventually stop. Your coffees that you buy every day, that won't be a thing in forever. Like, all of these things, the new comforter, the new house, the whatever, are not everlasting things. So how can you be content everlasting? Like, how can you be content forever if they're not forever things? And where your treasure is, your heart will be. So if your heart is set on things of God, that's where your treasure will be. And how much better treasure is that? So, like, enjoy pretty things and enjoy an aesthetic, but know where your joy comes from. Do what you can to make your life as enjoyable as you can within, while keeping God at the top, and have a heart of joyful contentment rather than envy and discontent.